Today's podcast is sponsored by MPB, the online pricing engine that provides the right price for any camera or lens. Get free kit pickup and get paid within days, all without leaving your home. How much could you get? Find out with a free instant quote at www.mpb.com/sell.
Hello and welcome to the AV Forums Movies podcast for Monday the 7th of August 2023. Tonight I am joined by Tom Davies.
This is me.
Simon Crust.
I love Tom's hoodie.
And Mark Costello.
Hello. What?
It has to be one. This week we take a look at the insane marketing monolith that is Barbenheimer. With Barbie having just pulled in over $1 billion and Oppenheimer extending its run in IMAX. And we commiserate the missed opportunity of a Ben Wheatley directed blockbuster with Meg 2. We enjoy the Spider-Verse vibe with the surprisingly good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Mutant Mayhem. I mean, it needs a few more mutants in that title. Check out Gerard Butler's latest, Kandahar, coming straight to Amazon Prime as an original. We reviewed Jaws 2 on 4K, and the better than it had any right to be Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves on 4K as well. We also look at a few TV shows which should come to an end, like Marvel's disappointing Secret Invasion. I'm going to say it's disappointing.
Nobody watched it.
Spoilers.
It's not disappointing if your expectations are already zero.
Yeah, fair. And a few that have come back, like Futurama. Right, let's dive straight in. Competitions, Mark.
Yes, you can still win a number of titles from my last month's top 10 rundown, including Carmen, The Lair, Frontiers, May, and the Cosa Nostra set. In addition, you can also win Dungeons and Dragons, Super Mario Brothers, and Justice League Warworld on Blu-ray, and Sam Peckinpah's Cross of Iron on limited edition 4K Steelbook, which is great. And even though it's early days for my August top 10, which only went live today, we've already got a number of competitions lined up, but I think only one of them's live. Arguably, it's one of the best ones for the feudal rock anime Inu-Oh.
I've entered that one
live. Go and win that because it's ace.
I want it.
So head over to avforums.com/competitions to enter, and all competitions are open to eligible AV Forums members resident in the UK.
Nice. Previous winners: supporter David M won Shazam 2 on Blu-ray, supporter Phileas won Black Demon on Blu-ray, and is actually looking forward to it. He says he's read your review, Mark, but he's a sucker for bad shark movies. I told him he's in.
He
for
will
a
love
treat.
it then. This is a bad shark movie.
Togaso won Champions on Blu-ray. Star supporter Count Jedi won Justice League times RWBY Part 1 on Blu-ray. It's a serial number. Star supporter, Nobler won Strange New Worlds 4K Steelbook. Star supporter
Nice.
Go Sub won 65 on Blu-ray. And star supporter Aid JP2 won Le Mépris on 4K.
Well done, everyone.
New patrons. Mark B is a brand new patron, so thank you very much for joining the club. Thank you, Mark B.
He's good. He's one better than Mark C.
Or is he one
on the
less?
Scale? Yeah, what's that on the number scale, Tom? Right, let's have some movie reviews and news. Well, there's no escaping it, and given we weren't here last week to go through the actual crazy of it, it's time to go full on Barbenheimer. I mean, it is a phenomenon. I don't think even Tom Cruise and Paramount were expecting it. They were warned. We've all read the IMAX notice from the IMAX chief saying, please move Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 because Oppenheimer's coming, and the Paramount's execs going, no, we're not going to move. It's fine. It's Tom Cruise. Look what he did with Top Gun. But well and truly trounced. I mean, Barbie and Oppenheimer came out, and this a really crazy phenomenon came up, like the concept of seeing this 3-hour movie about Oppenheimer and nuclear physics and dropping a bomb and a proper character study, a lot of it in black and white. Watching that, as well as the ultra super color Barbie, 2 hours of Barbie, it seems like an insane package. And I know lots of people who had intended on doing this double bill and flaked out at the last minute when they realized one was 3 hours long and
The other was
The other was Barbie.
the other was Barbie.
Hey!
Barbenheimer sounded like it sounded like a great plan, but I've seen Oppenheimer, so let's do Oppenheimer first, because I've seen Oppenheimer. I saw it in IMAX, loved it in IMAX. I actually thought that it wouldn't have the same effect at home. The way they really got inside the mind of someone who can see almost another dimension, another world of atoms, and the way they brought that to life with this insane sort of insomnia and reverberations and visuals and sound all blasted up on the biggest screen you could imagine. It was a tremendous experience. I thought it was cleverly done. Nolan once again using time to his advantage to tell a story which possibly chronologically would have been a little bit more dry, and instead was repurposed using his time jumps to make it a bit more of a kind of a whodunit come the end. And that, coupled with a character study led by Cillian Murphy, who is the best performance of his career, really nails Oppenheimer and the struggle. And a shout out for Robert Downey Jr., unrecognizably taking on a role which was quite anti Robert Downey Jr. and doing it. Emily Blunt also had for me the best scene in the entire movie. She's tremendous. And Florence Pugh really nailed it too. I thought it was...
By it, do you mean Cillian Murphy?
Yeah. Well, you know what? She managed to absolutely portray this person who would drag someone who was defense security cleared towards communist affiliations. Just, she nailed that palpable, seductive allure, without really saying a great deal or wearing a great deal, but she did. She absolutely nailed it. Yeah, I mean, it was really good. I struggled in the final hour. I think possibly because I found the first 2 hours just perfect momentum. But it's a tremendous, memorable movie. It's very good. I haven't got around to Barbie yet. The rest of the family have seen it. My wife loved it. My daughter hated it. She doesn't. It's the first time she's ever come out of a movie saying she's hated something. My son loved it, but you should take that with a pinch of salt, because he gives everything 10 out of 10, and Mission Impossible films 11 out of 10, and Maverick 100 out of 10. So when he gave this an 8 out of 10, it's possible he didn't like it as much as any other normal movie ever. So, but yeah.
I did the Barbenheimer, but I did it like I do any double bill watching, which is to spread out over 2 weeks. Both good, man. Both good. I liked Oppenheimer too, but I think I liked it for different reasons than you, Kaz. Like,
you liked the last hour more than me.
I really loved the last hour. I thought the last hour, the security hearing and the Senate. Is it a Senate hearing, like a confirmation? The confirmation hearing. I really enjoyed that. Up until that point, I was not on board with Robert Downey Jr. I didn't really get his performance. But as that's revealed over the last hour, I was like, oh, now I understand what's going on here. And as much as his character may be a fabrication for convenience for the movie, works for the movie. So I'm you're in that like no man's land of like factually accurate is important, but also good movie is important. So and it like it does that really well. So yeah. And I thought it was, like you, completely gripping. I had no idea that 3 hours had passed by the end of it, and at no point did it feel like a long movie. And there is so much to process and feel and like get to grips with as you're going through it, that you just don't disengage from start to finish. Really unusual to find a film that is that efficient and that successful, I think. So 100% on board with Oppenheimer. It is the most I've liked a Nolan movie since Inception, for sure. Easy. So definitely go and see it. I didn't see it in IMAX, and also I had zero problems with dialogue. I know that a few people have complained, and there are like articles on the internet being written about, it's a purposeful choice to make the dialogue difficult to understand. I didn't find it difficult to understand. So I'm not sure what was with the sound levels in the screen that I went to, but I got the dialogue.
Yeah, Nolan came out and said it, didn't he? He said, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, recently.
I don't want you to hear stuff. I mean, it's like...
No, but I think it was today where he admitted that he doesn't use ADR, does he?
No,
so it's all on-set audio. That's it. So
you would never have guessed that from watching the yacht scene in Tenet, would you?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You need, if you were going to do that, Mark, you should have got me to go boom, boom in the background while you were doing it.
Homemade Chris Nolan. There we go.
Yeah.
So, and did you think that it would have been better if you'd seen Oppenheimer and then walked straight out and seen Barbie straight up? Do you think that's the full effect?
I think both would have suffered immeasurably from that experience.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't imagine the tonal whiplash you must get, either from going from one of the most downer endings in cinema in the last 5 years to the poppy campness of Barbie. I don't know how you could make that like emotional gear switch,
or the other way around. Going from a super pop, I'm a Barbie girl, Nicki Minaj fade out to don't.
Absolutely. I would be easily half an hour of like switching from one to the other. No, terrible idea. Dumb social media.
Well, yeah, but do you know what? You see so often, don't you? Whenever you talk about a movie these days, it's what's its budget and then double it for marketing. And you just go, hey, what, why? And this just shows where that money goes. This just shows when it works. It works. The whole Barbenheimer thing is a marketing creation. It's not even done by the individual bloody films themselves. They've all kept themselves to themselves.
Yeah,
so
it's a social media thing.
So this thing, and you know what? Fair play. If it really has been the best weekend in cinema since Endgame, fair play. That's
more gimmicky nonsense. If it gets people in the cinema, I don't care if it's gimmicky nonsense.
Exactly.
Both films were good. Good on everyone for going to see them both.
There is some.
I've only seen one.
You've only seen one.
There's some slight tragic irony in that one of the first people to have seen them both was Tom Cruise, wasn't it? So before Barbenheimer was a thing, he got on and said they're coming out the same day. I'm seeing them both, and that was early on. But that's pretty much what's killed Mission Impossible, which has done like the worst of Mission Impossibles for a long time.
Let's be honest. Cruise is too savvy to think that he could have stood in the way of Barbenheimer.
Oh no! I think he's behind Blue Beetle, so I think he just wants cinema to survive.
No. I think we're going to see Mission return to IMAX very soon. Oppenheimer is not going to have IMAX legs. It just isn't. Mission is going to come back, and it'll be It won't do the numbers everyone thought it did, but I think it will pick up a lot more in its second run.
It would be smart of them to bring it back for a part 2 double bill, for a run for the 2-in-1. I would consider going to see that.
Well, I haven't taken the kids to see it yet, and I'm planning on seeing it, but I won't get around to it for about 3 weeks So I'm kind of hoping that it makes some kind of comeback, because every time I look for showings, it's like all the good screens are Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So, and I can't see that it's going to be trounced by Blue Beetle and whatever else we got coming up.
Nothing.
I mean, yeah.
Nothing.
But Si, you haven't seen either, have you?
No.
You're looking forward to it when I give you the Barbie 4K review disc?
I'm absolutely just chomping at the bit. I am. Yeah, I just have to. Yeah,
I hope that's not sarcastic,
stand
because it is brills.
Yeah, you can't have it, to be honest, because I want it. What have we seen else? We've seen Meg 2. Yes, you know what? I wanted it to work. I wanted Jason Statham to just punch more sharks, maybe headbutt one. You know, like I wanted this to work, but I read your review, Mark. Why? Worse than Transformers? What?
Yes. Well, so interesting enough, I have history with the Meg. I got in there with the first edition of the novel from Steve Alton. I got in there. See, it was always like giant prehistoric shark, sign me up. So that was it. I got his first edition. I joined his website. I got free signed book plates, you name it, all of that, before even the film was a twinkle in his eye. I'm a huge fan of the novels. Schlocky pot boilers, of course they are, but they're schlocky pot boilers about a giant megalodon, so brilliant. So, of course, the first film came out, went to see it, was horribly disappointed. I was there on opening night, horribly disappointed that it was toothless, gutless, you name it. But I've seen it a few times since then, and it started to grow on me. And especially this last time I watched it a few weeks ago, I watched it with my daughter. Had an absolute whale of a time with it. And I kind of made peace with it. What I didn't want then for this sequel was for Ben Wheatley to come in and do a John Turteltaub, which is exactly what he did. You hire someone like Ben Wheatley. Let's be honest. If you are in Warner Brothers, you hire Ben Wheatley with his form, with his, iconoclastic, filmography that goes everywhere from Free Fire is the nearest thing that even resembles the Meg, and even that stands out in his filmography. When you've got the likes of Kill List and Sightseers and A Field in England, and oh my word, right? When you hire that Ben Wheatley, you expect a Ben Wheatley film. And the most disappointing thing for me is that we did not get a Ben Wheatley film. I couldn't see anything of the director in this whatsoever. So given that my expectations already have suddenly plummeted, the fact that we then got a very strange, narratively inert film, the first half has very little Meg action in it, takes place at the bottom of the sea, no spoilers or anything like that, but it wheels out some ridiculous corporate espionage crap for the plot that Ben Wheatley really struggles then to bring any form of cinematic spectacle to it. It's murky, it's dark, it's edited horribly. It's just a mess. I think the marketing team for the Meg 2 also earned their money, because every single scene in that trailer is from the film's second half, which suddenly bursts above the ocean. And that's when you start to get the lunacy of 3 Megs and a massive octopus chowing down on basically, multiple people who wouldn't go amiss from Love Island. So, in some respects, the second half is significantly better. But by that point, the film's lost you. There's ridiculous plot. You don't go to see the Meg to see, complex, coherent plotting. But even some of the stuff in this is just barnstorm ridiculous. I can't go into spoilers, but no, I'm not. I won't do it. Something happens that then goes, yes, it reminds you you're at the bottom of the sea and, pressure. And then 5 minutes later, something else happens and you go, have they forgotten where they are? And at that point, you just think, sod off, Wheatley. You've had it. That's it. I'm gone. There will be fun to be had. There will people who will come to this and go, shut up, Mark. It's a giant shark, beer and popcorn Friday night movie. And you know what? If you can take it like that, fill your boots. there is, I quoted something like a Warlords of Atlantis in my review, because literally, the octopus in this is in it as much as the octopus in Warlords of Atlantis. You don't know where it's come from. It's just there to be an octopus for a few minutes. and there's a giddy little child in me that still finds that kind of stuff cool. What can I say? But on almost every other level, and especially the fact that this was a Ben Wheatley film, it was a crushing disappointment. Now, Ben Wheatley's a smart cookie. If he's gone into this going, do you know what? I'm going to take this and I'm going to secure my career for the next 5 films. Good on him. Fair dues. If that's what's happened, and of course I would never suggest that he'd be so cynical to do that. But if that's what happens as a result of it, fair play. We get more actual Ben Wheatley. But for me, it was, I really wanted to like this. I really, really did.
It's not the first time a director who's shown some flair and some promise has landed a high-profile blockbuster movie, and it's sucked all the life out of him.
I mean, but this is, this isn't even, what's the last one I could think? Chloe Zhao doing Eternals. It's not even that. I mean, this is so far Ben Wheatley, the Meg. And it's just like there's no meeting in the middle. He's just gone straight wrong way, that way. He's just gone straight over into it and gone. He's unleashed his inner turtle taub, unfortunately. So, it's one thing I will say is for the first Meg, I got over my initial disappointment. And by the time I watched it 3 times, I started to quite get into it. This may happen with this one. Once my crushing expectations and disappointment are well and truly banished, I might actually enjoy it for the.
You're already committed to watching it 2 more times.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
it feels like someone who's pre-ordered the 4K Steelbook for 35 quid.
No. I mean, Ava's already said she's desperate to see it, so at some point I will see it again with her. But I mean, I think more than anything, expectations going into this. If you expect the Meg, the film The Meg Part 2, and nothing else, you'll be okay. If you went in expecting anything different, you'll be massively disappointed, I think. But hey, have at it all. I hope more people really do enjoy it.
Fantastic, Mark. You've really, really sold that.
Yeah,
I must go and watch Warlords of Atlantis again.
Yeah! Where's my Doug McClure box set? Come on, Arrow. That's what I want.
The
I've
amount
got it
of
upstairs
times
somewhere.
you mentioned Turtle Taub, and I never had the opportunity to segue into Tom's review of Turtles.
Oh, sorry. Oh, damn it.
It's so close. So close. So Tom has seen the latest Turtles movie, which, the trailers made look pretty interesting, and it turns out to be great.
Yeah, it hooked like when you say like another Ninja Turtles movie, like gut reaction for most people is going to be again. Like how many times are they? How many times are going to try and fail to do this? Because this is now the 4th iteration of a movie franchise for the Turtles, which is absolutely bonkers when you think about it. Because we had the movies in the 90s, so Turtles Secret of the Ooze, Turtles in Time, which I have a massive soft spot for, and the Secret of the Ooze. Actually, I had the comic book of that as a kid. I guess full disclosure, I was a Turtles kid. I loved the Turtles when I was I really yeah. After Thundercats, I moved on to the Turtles. It was like seamless. And then you had the TMNT movie, which was like a
CGI thing. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was okay. The one where they've all been estranged from one another and have to get back together. That's pretty good movie. And then obviously you had the Bayformers iteration, which even those I'm kind of like, do I like them more than the Transformers movies? Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah.
I probably do.
Yeah. That's not hard though. I mean, that's not hard.
All that being said, you just come to this fresh. Like forget all of that stuff. This is a new telling of the story of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So if you ever saw the cartoon in the 90s, if you ever read the comics, just forget all that. It's a new interpretation of it, and it is all the better for that. It is refreshed and refreshingly teenage. I don't think any adaptation, I suppose you would call, of the Ninja Turtles has ever. They've all been like older teenagers. You would say that they were like 17, 18, 19. These are like 13, 14-year-olds, and it goes hard on that. Wanting to be in high school, wanting to get a girlfriend, being into nerdy stuff that nobody else gets. And on that front, it's really, really like honest. It's just really sincere. It's like the beginning of the first Spider-Verse movie where Miles Morales is a kid that just doesn't really fit in, and it makes you believe that he's just kind of an awkward guy. And it does the same for the Turtles, which is something that I never thought, like, give them some depth of character. That's not interesting to me, except in Mutant Mayhem, the latest movie. They really get into that, and that's like one of the strongest elements of the film. So so it's the story of the turtles. Normal turtles get dripped in ooze, turn into mutants, are raised by a dad rat who is Jackie Chan, want to be part of the world, but dad rat Jackie Chan doesn't want them to be part of the world. So they decide that to become accepted, they must become heroes. And the way to become heroes is to foil the plot of this high-profile criminal called Superfly. And as they try and foil this plot, it turns out that there are mutants everywhere. And it just becomes a movie about acceptance and being a bit different and sticking out and trying too hard to fit in and not trying at all to fit in, and just trying to find the compromise between those two places. And it's just very honestly warm and forgiving of both of those viewpoints. The Turtles are not in the right for wanting to be liked by everyone. April O'Neil, who they meet, who's like a teenage high school reporter, just wants to be liked. She wants to become a reporter so that people will respect her. And, the problems inherent in that are exposed. And equally, Superfly and his plan to take over the world with mutants is also given kind of a human side, and you don't think, like, he's not an inherently bad guy. It's really balanced. Aside from all that stuff, the storyline, which is quite good and very engaging. The animation is ridiculously good. It is contender for my favorite animated feature this year. Yes, against Across the Spider-Verse. And I wrote in my review that, like, Across the Spider-Verse does a lot of things really well. Like, it goes for a breadth of style, and it tries to showcase as much different animation technique as they can fit in one movie. And that's impressive. But equally impressive is to choose one route and just go full force on it. And the aesthetic they've created for this new Turtles movie, which is very hand-drawn, very scribbly, very like homemade. There's like a stop motion quality to the animation, and there's a doodly quality to all of the effects and scratchy character outlines, and it works. It works more holistically than Across the Spider-Verse. It as a visual theme, it's incredible to look at. Every second of it is a joy to watch, because there are moments of it where you think, I could be watching a child's drawing, or I could be watching a stop motion like claymation movie, or I could be watching a CGI movie. All of those and none of those, and it's just fascinating to watch.
Been an interesting year for different styles of animation.
For sure.
We had Puss in Boots' Last Wish, which I wasn't expecting to look the way it did. And we obviously had Spider-Verse leading the way for things like this. And we had Nimona, we had Mitchells and the Machines, and now we've got this. I mean, it's interesting that they've stepped out of the box for animation and I don't feel constrained by delivering one particular thing. This scratchy, crazy, funky, comic booky aesthetic is...
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 years ago, somebody gave studios permission not to all just look like DreamWorks or Pixar,
That's
which
pretty
is
much it.
awesome. You
Yeah.
don't have to make this look like everything else. You can do whatever you want, and people will want, like, not just accept it, but want that. So I hope we see more like daring animation like this.
Yeah, well, I remember watching Puss in Boots and thinking this looks nothing like the Shrek movies, like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and thinking this looks nothing like the Shrek movies, and then after a while thinking looks better.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice that there's some people are giving the chance. I need to take the kids to see this.
Yes, awesome summer holiday movie for sure.
And horror. Talk to me about horror.
I can talk to you about Talk to Me. Yes, go and see this. It's great. It's a horror which has nominally had A24 slapped on it in America, although it's not really an A24 movie. It's a movie they've brought up from Causeway Films, which, if you're into Aussie movies, you may recognize from The Babadook and The Nightingale, both of which are brilliant. And this is not quite at that level, but it's well on the way. The movie is about talking to ghosts and being possessed, but the method for talking to ghosts and being possessed is super novel. It is the severed hand of a dead medium covered in porcelain and like with felt tip pen all over it with little incantations and pleading, and it's such a great prop. Like, immediately that they bring it out within the first few minutes of the movie, it's like, already this is good. Like, what you've made here is enough to bring me into the movie because the prop is so good and so novel. And from there, it just goes from strength to strength. It hits a lot of beats that you would expect a horror movie about ghosts and possession to hit, and it hits a lot of beats that you would expect a movie about teenagers and talking to ghosts and possession to hit. But it does all of them well, and it does enough of the subtext stuff to keep it in vogue, and I won't say too much about it because I don't want to spoil any of the plot points, but it's just a good horror movie. It's not particularly scary, but man, what is anymore? So, like,
I think the background for this is absolutely fascinating. The brothers who directed it, they're YouTube pranksters, aren't they?
Yes, and if you go and watch any of their YouTube videos, they are nothing like this movie. I have no idea how they have gone from that to this, but good for them.
It's mad to hear about it, but yeah, I can't wait to go see this.
Yeah, for sure. It's if you have any interest in horror at all, and supporting independent film, go check it out.
I will.
And supporting A24, of course.
It's in the UK, it is an Altitude film, so go and support them because they've also occasionally bought some neat movies.
I think they did Black Demon. I think bloody hell.
They did, but
yeah.
They also had like Moonlight, I think, in the UK. So they,
let them off.
You know.
Yeah, well done, A24. I've seen Gerard Butler's latest. I like Butler, and he's had a nice
Butler.
Yeah, he's had a nice little turnaround recently with Greenland and some of the movies he's done since
Butler
then.
Innocence. I can't even work out what.
Yeah, you can't work out how that works, but it's something.
Not going to work.
He's doing a Greenland 2, and he's reuniting with his Greenland director for Kandahar. I enjoyed it. It's Gerard Butler's kind of CIA. He's a consultant. He's independent. He's drafted in to do stuff like take down servers. Something seems relatively innocuous, but he has to do it with the threat of death by hundreds of people pointing guns at him if he doesn't pass himself off as genuine for the task. And of course, things like that lead to a massive manhunt for him. It's engaging, a little bit different for him, and it's got slight survival movie vibes. It can't help though but come in the wake of Guy Ritchie's Covenant, which was honestly a better movie on all levels about this. Yeah, and it's a shame. You saw this, did you, Si?
I watched it last night. Yeah.
And what did you make of it?
It was okay.
It is okay.
It was okay. Quite cliched, fairly obvious, relies a lot on convenience and plot points to get from set to piece to set piece. But when it's in those set pieces, it's very good, except when you're at night when you can't see a bloody thing, because it's a very, very, very dark movie in the night times.
It's interesting you say that, because you watched it in 4K HDR on Amazon. I didn't. I saw it on preview. I didn't have HDR, and it was fine for me. It looked great. And when I read all these comments about how it was unwatchable, I was like, my God, Amazon, what have you done? What have you done? It was fine. I watched all the night scenes, and I actually thought the night scenes were tremendous. There's, just for context,
they might have been.
one of the most sort of innovative ideas behind this, and I wasn't fully behind it when it started happening, but I got into it, was he's got to drive through the desert at night, and he has to wear night vision goggles.
Yeah, yeah.
And initially you're like, this is just a really bad idea. But it works really well for tension, especially when there's like an attack. But all the comments on the review thread are like, I can't see anything. It's shot at night. It's all blocky. Oh my God, it looks spectacular to me. It was one of my favorite bits of the movie.
That's really interesting.
There's no blocking. There's no crush. I mean, it looked...
No, there was no blocking. There was plenty of crush. It was very, very dark. When they after the helicopter attack, when they're sitting on the side trying to talk to each other, it's like, you know, if I was to switch off all my lights, that's what it would be like. You could just about see something, and you're thinking, okay, perhaps that is supposed to be how realistic it is when it's dark in the desert.
No, that's HDR on Amazon. That's absolutely the HDR on Amazon.
The lesson we learn is that 720 SDR is the correct format.
Yeah, everyone go out and buy this on DVD. So, I thought it was it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay as well. It's a perfectly watchable streaming vehicle, and a Butler, I think, is good in it. I would say that they could have easily avoided all of this Covenant comparisons, which it does really draw, by just not having an interpreter in it, because he wasn't really
completely unnecessary to the plot.
It was, yeah.
It didn't need to be there.
So I think I don't know why they did. It's another one of these things where it's really weird that they've done two almost identical movies about sort of soldiers behind enemy lines racing to get to the border to save themselves with their interpreter, and this backstory about their interpreter's family and all. And it's like, who greenlights these two identically themed movies and releases them both on streaming? I think they're both on Amazon. Anyway, it's perfectly fine for streaming, and I like Butler, and it's harmless Butler stuff. Anyway, next up, 4K.
If you enjoy the podcast on YouTube, then please like and subscribe. If you're listening to the audio version, then please leave us a rating on your podcast app. We invite you to email questions and feedback to podcast@avforums.com and join in with this episode's discussion thread in the podcasts forum at AV Forums.
Right, so for some 4K discs, we have so many of these podcasts, and they're so oddly spaced apart. Did we cover Cross of Iron, Si?
Did we?
Did we?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
So
I just...
That's live, well live now, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is well live. But if we missed it, I feel like we ought to give a quick shout out for Sam Peckinpah in 4K. Am I correct in saying this is the first Sam Peckinpah? I mean, there's no Wild Bunch, there's no Getaway, there's no...
Must be.
Alfred Garcia.
There's no... Imagine that. Yeah. Oh my God, I've got 4 copies of that on Blu-ray. I've got like a German Koch Media copy. I've got the UK one. I've got the US one. They've all got different artwork. And the other day, the wife turns to me and says, "Why have you got 4 copies of this same movie in the same format?" And I'm like, "Have you seen the artwork?"
It's
And she's just like rolling her eyes at me. And I'm like, maybe I'll get rid of one of them. And I look at the artwork for all 4 and I'm like, I'll just stack them together and put them over here.
I'd rather give up one of the kids.
Yeah. So unnecessary. Yes.
Anyway.
Peckinpah, and it's Cross of Iron. Coming limited edition steelbook, wasn't it, to begin with? Let's get started.
It was. Yeah, it's a strange choice, really, because it's not one of his best films. Quite well known, I think, but it's a peculiar. He was kind of in a bit of bad way. His demons were getting the better of him. He was heavy into drinks and drugs at the time. So whilst there was a certain amount of Peckinpah flair throughout the movie, the actual taken as a whole, it's not great. It's okay, but it's not great. You've got the main guy is a typical Peckinpah leading man, but that's all he is. He doesn't have any kind of backstory or drive behind why he is who he is, which in all the other films they do. It's okay. It's okay. I don't dislike it, and it's unusual in the fact that you're looking at a war film from the German point of view, which is very, very rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's not great. It's okay. The transfer, however, is magnificent. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I really, really got on well with this transfer. It looks for all intents and purposes like film. When you screen a film at the cinema, it's 35mm, not the digital renditions of films that you tend to get nowadays. But there are slight variations between reels because that's when it was produced. Everything they try to get everything the same, but in real world you can't actually get everything exactly the same, and those are transferred to this disc. So there are slight differences between the reels, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. So I really got on well with this particular disc. Yeah, yeah, it's worth picking up just for the transfer. Even if you don't go on quite so much with the film, like I don't. It's still Peckinpah. It's a great transfer. The sound's okay. The extras are okay, but the transfer is worth picking up. It's brilliant. I loved it.
I mean, I hope that Studio Canal form to kind of release one of the lesser known films on the format before releasing kind of other ones. We'll give you Red Sonja before giving you, I don't know, Conan.
But that's the problem. I don't think Studio Canal has any more of his films.
Don't say that. Just don't say it, Mark. Let me dream for longer than. Say it to me on the chat in a week's time.
Okay.
Let me just have a dream. I mean, here's how my dream plays out. They release Cross of Iron, knowing that it's a less sort of popular Peckinpah. They get people to buy it because it's Peckinpah, and then they release another one of his. Like, I don't know, what would you pick as next? Pat Garrett,
Straw Dogs.
No, they're gonna get sales on Straw Dogs and on Wild Bunch, and they release like Pat Garrett.
I'd love to see
Ride
the High Country personally.
Yeah, Ride the High Country, or they release The Getaway, which I got a real soft spot for. They release some of these, and then they build up to kind of Wild Bunch era.
Yeah, I guess.
The next one we're going to get, and it is going to be Alfredo Garcia because it's with Arrow. So that'll be the next. Let's be honest, Arrow aren't behind the pale about churning out new 4K of stuff they've already released. So that'll be your next one.
You think we'll get?
Yep.
Don't say this. You flip. You go from we're not going to get any more Peckinpah to we'll get my favourite Peckinpah.
No. Studio Canal won't release any more Peckinpah because they don't have any more.
I can't handle this. Now I'm sitting here with 4 copies of Alfredo Garcia over there, contemplating buying a 5th one and the ensuing divorce.
Yes,
it's just
yes.
Anyway, okay. Well. That's good.
I'm going to pick that up, but I'm grumpy that it's a 30 quid steelbook right out.
There is
standard edition. That's why.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. I'm off. Right, hang on a minute. I'm going to Amazon.
I would still probably get it if it was the only way you could get it, but they've announced the standard. I'm just going for standard on this one.
Yeah. So, definitely. But yeah, no, great review. So I'll be having that.
Yeah. And yesterday I was this close to watching Jaws 2. lovely Italian set, came through the post, ready to put it on, turned to the wife, let's watch Jaws 2. She looks at me and goes, yeah, that sounds good. We should really watch Jaws 1 first. I'm like, oh, we know Jaws 1. But she's like, no, let's watch Jaws 1 first. I've got Jaws 2 over here.
It's a different film,
everything.
Kaz. It's a different shark.
Anyway, so I came this close to getting past the art cards and the lenticular cover.
Have you checked out what the Italians have done for the booklet? It's
I
really
haven't.
quite cool.
It's a little inlay saying this is the Italian version.
No. So the worry. So Kaz and I obviously we missed the UK Steelbook special edition type thing because we're lazy or something. But Amazon Italy still had it for like 40 odd euros. So we both raced and ordered it. Mine arrived a bit ago. And it's fully English, it's fully English friendly, apart from the J card on the back. But you get the booklet out, and it's totally in English, and you think, "Oh, those Italians, fair play in them. They're content with English." And then you open it, and a little bit of paper falls out, and it's a folded bit of paper that's just got all the narrative of the booklet squished onto half a side of A4 and folded up in the back of it. But bless them, they tried. So Ben Wheatley should have watched this before he made the Meg 2. Honestly, tell you what, he could have learned something. I mean, look, we've all seen the film. I mean, it's again, like so many things, it really shouldn't have worked. And the idea of a Jaws sequel now is utterly laughable. But I think at the time, the masterstroke was turning it basically into a slasher. Teenagers out on the water getting terrorized by an unseen killer. And it works really well. The bits of the film that don't work really well are pretty much almost the whole of the second act, where it's less about the shark and the kids, and it's more about the town. How much of this is due to the much publicized problems the film had? Roy Scheider famously hated the idea of being in the film, hated being in the film, hated the director. They didn't get on. Poor old Murray Hamilton, his wife was taken ill during the shoot, and he basically asked to just leave it. So they crammed all his scenes into a couple of days so they could let him go. So whether or not that second act was, heavily influenced by that. But frankly, by the time you get to the third act, there is stuff in there that, to me as a kid, who's probably saw this more on TV as a kid than the first film, there is stuff in that third act that is, as iconic as anything in the first film. The attack on Tina's Joy gave me nightmares. The image of that poor kid getting dragged through the water and crashing into the side of the boat. Well, it's making my skin crawl now thinking about it. The shark looked rubbish. We saw far more of it, and it looked rubbish. But there was still some shots there that stuck with me. The bit where the young kid is just getting shoved out by the woman who's in the water, and the shark comes up behind her, and it's just like, again, you can't see the hairs on my arm and standing up just thinking about crap like that. So anyway, the film is it shouldn't work, and it is nowhere near the level of the mastery of the first film, but it shares a lot of its DNA in terms of having some of that jaunty levity, good character work between the kids, and some really good, strangely, kills in it. So the film is a solid sort of 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
The 45th anniversary 4K restoration looks really good. It's not on the same level as the first film at all. The underwater scenes look really soft, and apparently they were shot on problematic film stock. There was some hazy shooting choices, shall we say. The scene, where the old woman is being interviewed after the water skier, the boat is just blown up. It's honestly, it's like someone stuck gauze in front of the camera. It's all hazy, diffuse, supposed to be like that to give it some kind of strange, dreamy look. I don't know what Janet Swartz was thinking. But ultimately, when it's good, the restoration is very, very good. Detail levels are up significantly. The colors, hate to say it, pop like a baden. When the water ski boat explodes, the fireball is dazzling. It's just slightly inconsistent in terms of that level of quality Doesn't go all the way through. The grain looks good on it though, all the way through. That's one thing I will say, and it's possibly overlooked in a lot of these stuff. It's only when you start to do comparisons of what the 1080p disc look like, you start to see things like the background grain. It clumps on the Blu-ray. It's nice and smooth on the 2160p. And I think that's one of the unsung heroes of the format, is its better treatment of grain. The audio is the same audio track as it was before. Disappointingly, there's no extra on-disc supplementals for a 45th anniversary, and especially as there's been interviews on YouTube with the cast, going over some of this stuff that isn't anywhere at all. You'd have thought they could have stuck some of those on the disc, but they haven't. So there's a couple of disappointments in the set. But for me, I bought this because I love the design of the steelbook. That, ironically enough, mimicking a shot out of the Meg 2, where you get the iconic poster of the water skier, but reversed. So from the inside of the shark's mouth, I think is really witty. So love the design on that. If you do want the steelbook edition and all that stuff, it is still available on Amazon Italy for I think €44. Otherwise, the regular edition it's all the same stuff on that. So yeah. Good anniversary edition, not quite as good as Jaws, both in terms of the transfer and the film, but hey, what is?
What is?
What is?
I'm still looking forward to watching that. Although
you're
should. Right. I mean, Jaws was just magnificent on a rewatch. I'm going to wait a while before watching 2.
Watch Deep Blue Sea and warm yourself up.
Yeah, or the Meg 2.
No.
When are they going to get to the revenge? That's what I want to know. Come on.
I tell you what,
Michael Caine's best movie.
I tell you what, I have watched Jaws 3 in 3D, and it's great.
Oh, that sounds great.
It's just, you can see, I mean, the terrible compositing that was on the 1080p Blu-ray, where it just looks, that shark's just like hanging there. So someone's dangling a shark in front of the camera. It's actually coming towards you in 3D, so I'm down with that. So, yeah, Jaws 3 in 3D. I recommend it.
I mean, I don't think we did Dungeons and Dragons last time either. I lose track of these things, but I had a blast with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, it's a good film.
I saw it in 4K. I think you saw it at the cinema, didn't you, Tom?
I did. It was super fun.
It was
fun.
It was just, it had no right to be that good.
Yeah,
I mean, it
is immediately disposable.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's okay, because for the 2 hours or whatever that it's on, it's a blast.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Si?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
great fun.
It is. Chris Pine's having a blast. I mean, it's
good fun.
Yeah, it is. It's very enjoyable, and kind of that Jumanji sort of Spider-Verse-y feel, I guess.
It does a good thing with Reggie Jean Page, which is don't act.
Yeah. It totally totally Spocks him. It's just absolutely fantastic. I thought he was fantastic in it. He's just pairing him with Chris Pine, just completely piss taking throughout. I mean, you are literally going to walk over the rock. It's just it was I had a lot of fun with that. The disc is spectacular. 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, looks and sounds tremendous. I mean, you wouldn't really expect anything less, but for a kind of a mid-budget production, it could have turned out a lot worse. I thought it was tremendous. I strongly recommend people pick it up, and partly because I kind of want another one. So go check it out. Mark's also got top 10 Blu-rays for August.
Yes, published today. It's probably one of the most varied bunch that I've had in a long while. We've got everything from, anime, documentaries. We've got insane Polish art house right the way up to, modern blockbusters and coming of ages. But in terms of the pick of them, the top 4 I just want to mention. Now, I won't go into too much detail about number 4, the Three Musketeers D'Artagnan. Go read Tom's review because it's excellent, but it's huge fun. Not quite Leicester levels of Oliver Reed, Frank Finlay, and Richard Chamberlain, but it's not far off. It's a rollicking modern blockbuster.
I was going to say, it's funny, Mark, that me and you agreed on how good it is, and exactly the bits that weren't as good. Like we are entirely on the same page on this movie.
The sky's falling.
It's amazing.
The world is over.
Wait until we start talking about Severance.
So go see that. Go read Tom's review. It's great. The same with the third choice. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Now, again, many of you will go, it's a 13-year-old girl coming of age in the 70s based on a Judy Blume book, and go, not for me. But do you know what? Go read Kaz's review, because it's great. And it is for you. It's a brilliant... The film it reminded me most of was Stand By Me. It's got charm, it's got heart, it's got warmth. It makes you long for a place you've never been. It's great. But go read Kaz's review on that and pick the disc up. It's great. The second one, I put Scum in there. Now, Scum from Indicator had a massive limited edition re-release a couple of years ago. What they're doing now, what Indicator do, is they eventually get round to releasing standard editions, and it's basically all the on-disc stuff is exactly the same. They just lose the box, the booklet, posters, art cards, all that. The Scum, if you haven't seen Alan Clark's, oh God, it's brutal. It's absolutely unflinching about teenage, the Borstalls back in the 70s. It's uncomfortable, but it's absolutely fascinating watching it through a modern lens. The whole notion of intergenerational conflict and how two generations just cannot communicate. It's so relevant now with social media. The release from Indicator is amazing. Loads of it. It's got 4 hours of video features on it. It's spruced up really nicely. Go check that out. But if you're going to go and spend any money this month, go pick up Squaring the Circle, a documentary about the story of, believe it or not, an art company called Hypgnosis. But they are the art company responsible for designing so many of the most iconic album covers you've ever seen. Dark Side of the Moon, Houses of the Holy, Wish You Were Here, you name it. They did the lot. And it is a brilliant story. It's how an art firm matched the decadence of the rock royalty they were working with. Some of the stories are insane. But I think more for me, when you see documentaries now about that time and about this period, these bands, so many of them concentrate on the problems of the time, the awful excess which we all sneer down our nose at, the fact that the bands had all this conflict and whatnot. And what's really nice in this is it is celebrating that time. It is celebrating music. You will have Roger Waters talking lovingly about the time, immediately followed by Dave Gilmour. And if you close your eyes, you almost think that those two don't hate each other. It's really nice. But it's a great documentary. It's a great documentary anyway. It's emotional. There's some real heart to it. But if you love those albums, if that period of time, in music means anything to you, just watch this. It's amazing. So yeah, so a load of bangers this month, a load of bangers. So yeah, check it out.
And just a thoroughly great time reading the article as well, Mark. I'm
Agreed.
I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass, but that was a good read.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I know it's long, and especially as Kaz keeps sending me a release that consists of multiple films. Thanks, Kaz.
I did say you could put multiple entries in there.
But then it'd be a top 17. It doesn't quite have the same ring.
But Mark was very cruel about Crime Wave.
No.
Very cruel about Crime Wave.
Do you know what? Crime Wave got us Evil Dead 2. If we didn't have to suffer the ignominy of Crime Wave, we would not have got Evil Dead 2. So frankly, you're right. I should have put a 1 in front of it. It should have been a 12 out of 10. You're absolutely right.
Tell us what's coming out in 4K, Mark.
Right. I'll very quickly skip through this. So yes, now for once, we have stuck one in the eye of our transatlantic cousins and gone, haha, look at our release schedule, American mateys. So The Exorcist, it's finally coming. We knew it was coming for the 100th anniversary of Warner Bros., but it's finally coming on October the 9th. And while the US get that horrible standard edition cover that looks like it was designed by an intern with a hangover, we get a plethora of rather nice special features and limited editions. I personally have caved and gone for that Super Bible limited edition from Amazon.
Me too.
You know, I'm a sucker. That's coming on October the 9th. Also, though, Halloween is round the corner, so you know what that means, folks. Oh, yes. Arrow have managed to force our wallets open even more. Their previous Scarlet box of Hellraiser 1 to 3,
Hellraiser box,
they've gone and outdone it because now we're getting a 1 to 4 4K release. Yes, this includes Bloodlines, Hellraiser in space. Nice. But not only that, they've also announced, all right, granted, it's the worst of Lucio Fulci's Gates of Hell trilogy, but it's a Lucio Fulci Gates of Hell trilogy nonetheless. The House by the Cemetery is coming on the 9th of October as well, so that's great. Curzon are releasing a huge Lars von Trier retrospective Blu-ray box set on September 25th, but I'm mentioning it here because Breaking the Waves is getting a standalone 4K release. Glorious film, heartbreaking film, but absolutely superb. U571 is coming from Studio Canal on the same day. Now that is a steelbook that looks very nice. I might stump for that. We don't know whether it's going to get an Atmos or a DTSX audio upgrade, but who knows? We all like to
I've got a soft spot for that.
We all like to look back fondly at the time
trash.
when the Americans single-handedly won the war.
I like watching it for its
like
historical accuracy.
Of course. Yeah.
I saw that one at the cinema and I thought it was garbage as a teenager, and I was right.
Well, here you go. Studio Canal are bringing a slightly better World War II film. Roman Polanski's Oscar winner, The Pianist. That's coming on the 18th of September. However, unfortunately, the US fight back. We may have been leading at half-time, but going into the second half of this article, it's a different story. Arrow US are getting Peter Weir and Harrison Ford's classic Witness on the 31st of October. We're not. Swines. Now, Shout Factory, who are too busy ruffling feathers with some half-assed releases, World War Z, we're looking at you. However, they have announced Chuck Russell's The Blob on 4K for October the 17th. Take all my money. Just take it all right now. Love that film. Halloween H2O is getting a 25th anniversary 4K steelbook everywhere but the UK, it seems. The US is getting it on 26th September, with Germany and France getting theirs.
That's not a loss.
Not really.
We might
counts
get it.
as an own goal.
Might not. But
it's like David Gordon Green Halloween, like first attempt. Like it's the same movie essentially.
Oh, I like H. Sure. Anyway, to round this out with a bit of a rant, in a couple.
This whole thing has been a rant.
No, it's not. A couple months ago, I reviewed Megan. The Killer Doll movie in 1080p for my monthly Blu-ray column. And I think I said there, why is this coming out on 1080p and not 4K? Who knows? Well, Universal have only gone and Ruddy announced it for 4K, and the internet has lost its mind. Of course, does this signify a evil new move by those corporate studios of making us fork out for 1080p first, then sneakily announcing 4K a few months later? Who thought studios were beyond such chicanery? But it is a bit of a goal because it is going to start making us think a lot more about picking up those first releases. I mean, it's one thing to release a film on Blu-ray and then wait 3 years and release a 4K. It's another to wait 3 months before you announce a 4K upgrade.
No, they're just filling a hole in the market because, like, Disney aren't going to make any, so Universal are going to make twice as many.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, they're not going to ship them to Australia though, Tom. So that's it, all done. Lots of good stuff there. It's a packed release schedule heading into Halloween.
Okay, well, next up, it's streaming and TV show.
If you'd like to support the AV Forums podcast on a regular basis, then why not become a patron? Head over to patreon.com/AV Forums to sign up. You can also make a one-off donation through the Super Chat or via streamlabs.com/AV Forums. All donations help us to improve the website and the podcasts. Thank you to all our supporters.
You want to give him a shout?
Right, so streaming TV show news. Thank you for thanking us for recommending Bloodlines. It's
Bloodhounds.
always Bloodhounds. It's always nice to have people give some feedback that you've actually watched stuff that we took a sideways recommendation to, and that was from way back when Si told us all and we completely ignored him. And then past its sell by date, I decided to kick up a review because it was as good as Si said.
Absolutely, it was.
And I'm still ignoring him.
Yeah,
Mate, you don't know
Back
what you're
to-
missing.
Standard. Yeah, Frank Stallone. So streaming, we're going to go through this really quickly because we do want to pay a little tribute to Friedkin. So we're going to say Secret Invasion. I would say that it's fine, but look, the problem with this is that it started off being a bit of an odd return for a supposedly celebrated Nick Fury front of the line TV show, with a kind of a muted, slightly incompetent Nick Fury in it. And I think I spent the entire 6 episodes waiting for him to really pull one out of the bag and be kick-ass Winter Soldier style, that era of, yes, my wrist has snapped, no, cancel the deployment of countermeasures until I'm ready, like that guy. I wanted that guy, and we didn't get him.
Sorry, he's 100 years old now.
I mean, I get it, but it's okay watchable, but it's pretty cheap. I don't know how they spent that much money on it. And then I realized they spent a lot of money on pointless de-aging bits. The guy who plays the villain can't act for toffee and is about as intimidating as a toffee.
But he's so good in stuff like One Night in Miami and
I know
his scene of final episode shouting at Nick Fury.
Bad.
Nick Fury.
Yes.
So painful. Just so painfully awful.
Bad.
That I nearly gave up at that moment.
He was still in his Ken mode because he was a Ken.
He was.
He was a delightful Ken.
I mean, it went wrong, and Sarah Connor, she was terrible in it. Daenerys. I don't know. Anyway, I can't recommend this thing, but I guess if you really go into it realizing it's pretty bad,
there's so much better television there, mate.
You just don't bother. No,
that's a shame.
You miss nothing. Like by the end, status quo is restored. You've missed nothing by
one new character with loads of random superpowers. But
it's not going to come up in a movie though, because they just don't.
Yeah, but you say that. I've heard rumors that the Marvels is going to see straight out of it. I mean, I don't know how, and I don't know how much is that.
Wasn't it? No, hang on. Wasn't it meant to be the other way around? Wasn't it meant to segue out of the Marvels?
It was. They were going to release the Marvels first.
How are they going to flip that? Like that's weird.
They're going to pull a Barbenheimer.
Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just the internet talking out of its arse again. Like it does.
How unusual.
Futurama
is great. I am enjoying it so much that I am delivering an episode by episode review.
I just started from the beginning. Actually, I'm up to episode season 6 to go right the way through again because brilliant.
Yeah,
so that's
the new series has been a hoot. When they brought it back for Comedy Central, it was diminished. It was not. There was a chunk of maybe 6 or 8 episodes that were sort of outright bad, really, like around the time of the Da Vinci Code and Proposition Infinity, like that sequence of episodes. So when they said they were going to bring it back again, I was really worried it was going to be that again. And then when they released the episode list, the titles for the episodes online, it had a load of these like nods to present day concerns transported to the future, which was a real like failing, I thought, of those Comedy Central episodes. But actually, of the 3 that have been released so far, 2 of them have really made me laugh, like properly laugh, like old Futurama used to make me laugh. So as so far so good is what I will say.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, because they had to do something because it ended so brilliantly.
Yeah.
Last time.
Yeah, I think I said in the review that I wrote for it that it's like no other TV show. It has had 2 perfect finales.
Yeah.
So like they've got to make it special to make it worth carrying on. And they're doing a good job so far. So check that out.
Excellent.
Nice. Right. We are going to have a quick tribute to William Friedkin, the late great William Friedkin, and I figure it's best done by us all naming our favourite films. So go, Mark.
So which was he going to pick? No, I'm not going to mention those. My shout out is going to be for one of his lesser films because it's so insane. I love it. It's 1990s The Guardian.
Oh, that's good.
It's not.
No, it is. No, Mark. No, it is. It's good.
This is the one where the evil nanny turns into a tree demon or something.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going on? Jenny Seagrove is in it. It's just utterly insane. But I think what I loved about Friedkin is he had such mainstream success, but even within that success, he was never what you'd call mainstream. It's just like he was like, I'm going to do this, and I don't give a crap. Right? Some of it worked. Some films which you guys are going to talk about. Some of it didn't. But even with the likes of Jade,
I was gonna say it was only a couple of years later that he brought out Jade, and it's like, oh my.
David Caruso.
David Caruso and the writer of Showgirls.
I'm just going to give a shout out to that because all the other stuff you guys are going to mention is all utterly immense. But Friedkin was just, and Killer Joe, quick shout out for Killer Joe as well of recent years.
Jade's got a fantastic car chase in it. I mean,
pointless. Fantastic.
It is pointless, but I mean, it is.
Who goes to that erotic thriller to watch a car chase?
It's just proper San Francisco Hills craziness. Really. Yeah.
So everyone go and buy The Guardian and go and rent The Guardian and watch it. And
it's a hoot, honestly.
Of
You'll
course
be entertained. You'll be entertained.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna shout out Live and Die in LA.
Yeah.
I got the 4K disc coming in, and it's got to be one of my favorite. William Peterson. I've got a big soft spot for William Peterson. I think it's a lot of fun. It shouldn't work on so many levels, but the soundtrack, the visual design, the sort of plot of real anti-heroes, very seedy. Willem Dafoe, another cracking car chase, and lots of it's a great little movie. I can't wait.
Fantastic ending.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a tough. Didn't see that one coming.
No.
Ending. Very very nicely done. Yeah. So to be missed. I mean, what are you going to say? So are you going to say something big?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Friedkin?
Well, I'm going to have to say Exorcist personally. I mean, you don't have to say anymore. Just one of the greatest horror films of all time, made by a completely batshit crazy director who was wanting to beat up the crew and the cast to get the film that he wanted to see. The battle that they had with the writer formed a film that was so good, transcends cinema. It's absolutely awesome, and it's great that we're getting it in 4K at last.
The other one that I'm desperate to see in 4K is Sorcerer. That's always my pick, because if you don't sweat like an old stick of TNT at the bridge scene, then you are not a human.
The bridge scene is insane.
It is one of the most insane pieces of cinema ever.
So Roy Scheider in it looks like death, and I seriously think that a part of him was left behind during the making of that movie.
Everyone looks like they're on the verge of tears all the time.
It wouldn't surprise me if Friedkin said to Scheider, "Right, mate, we're going to start shooting a week on Sunday. Just drive this truck to set." and stuck a camera in it, and didn't even tell him what was going on. Wouldn't surprise me if that's what Friedkin did.
That bridge scene,
or maybe he just used actual TNT. That would be peak Friedkin.
John Woo style. But that bridge scene, it does not look like it passed any safety regulation tests ever. It just looks like they cleared all of the cast and crew out, apart from the 3 primaries and the guy with the camera, and they went, drive across this. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's
genuine danger of death throughout, for everyone involved.
It's such a phenomenally flimsy thing. Oh my God. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
No wonder Scheider was grumpy going into Jaws 2. Blimey.
I only just survived this. I tell you, that's one of those rare films. I mean, I love the original Wages of Fear, but that's one of those rare films that tops it for me.
100%.
Remakes that
better remake.
Tops it for me.
Yeah.
Right. Very nice. So, coming soon. August isn't big on the cinema front, but Tom might be going to see Gran Turismo based on a true story.
I am. And it is, I hear, based on a true story.
Based on a true story, yeah. That was me playing a game, and they came and recruited me, and I said, no, I'm busy.
I saw the trailer for it this weekend when I went to see Elemental. And no one in the trailer is acting. Literally no one does any acting.
It's a documentary. It's docudrama.
It's been a while since we've had a Tom rant.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
you may be in for one this week. We'll see.
We're going to get a Mark rant because you're going to go and see Blue Beetle.
Yeah,
the first of the new DC era celebrated in style with Blue Beetle. I mean, everyone is really looking forward to this, aren't they?
When Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive beetle.
It's just bad. More likely to be actually strangely basic kind of streaming fun. Gal Gadot, absolute throwaway trash. Heart of Stone, Netflix. That's this week, I think. Friday, and then on the disc front, Mark and Si have got early Aaron Second Sight titles, Weird Science 4K, and Time Bandits 4K.
Yep,
Tom's going to
this week, hopefully.
Yeah, and Tom's going to check out Good Omens 2.
It's great so far.
That's it. You don't need to review it now. And I'll have a premiere review of The Justified Revival, which is also great so far.
Nice.
So, do let us know if there's anything we've not covered that you think we should check out. And that's it for the AV Forums Movies podcast this week. My thanks to the movies team. Si.
Thank you very much, Kaz. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Tom.
Yeah.
And Mark.
Toodle pips all.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel, plus hit the notification bell so you don't miss out when we publish our live streams, product reviews, and more. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and bookmark avforums.com for the latest reviews, news, and videos. Plus, why not leave us a 5-star rating on whichever service you use if they allow it, but only if you enjoyed the show. I am Kaz Harlow. Thank you for watching and listening, and join us for another podcast soon.